Think about the last time someone was genuinely kind to you, not because they needed something, not because you did something for them first, just kind, out of nowhere. What did you feel? Your first instinct was suspicion if something in you whispered, "What do they want?" or "This won't last," or "I haven't done enough to deserve this, yet then this video is for you." Because that reaction isn't a personality flaw. It isn't trust issues. It isn't being broken. It's a lesson, one you were taught so early, so quietly, that you don't even remember learning it. But your body remembers. Your patterns remember. Every relationship you've ever had remembers. Stay with me, because by the end of this, something is going to make sense that never made sense before. There's a specific kind of exhaustion that has nothing to do with being tired. It's the exhaustion of constantly monitoring yourself in relationships, asking yourself, am I being too much? Am I giving enough? Did I say something wrong? Are they pulling away? What do I need to do to make this okay again? It's the exhaustion of loving someone and simultaneously running a background calculation. Am I still worth it to them today? Most people who feel this don't have a name for it. They just call themselves anxious or needy, naive or difficult. They apologize for it. They try to fix it by working harder, being more patient, more understanding, more available, more impressive. But working harder is exactly the wrong move, because the problem was never that you weren't enough. The problem is that someone once taught you that love has a price, and you've been paying it ever since. Here's what most psychology videos won't tell you directly. You were not born believing you had to earn love. No child is. Watch any infant. They cry, they demand, they take up enormous amounts of space, and they expect to be loved completely. Not because they've done anything, just because they exist. That's the default setting, or love as a given, belonging as a birthright. But then something happens, and it doesn't have to be dramatic. It doesn't have to be abuse. It doesn't even have to be something anyone would call bad parenting. Maybe love in your house came with conditions, spoken or unspoken. You were held more when you were well behaved. You were praised when you achieved something. You were noticed when you were useful, easy, quiet, successful, or good. And when you weren't those things, when you were difficult, loud, struggling, failing, angry, or just ordinary, the warmth got a little cooler. The room got a little quieter. Nobody said, "We love you less right now." They didn't have to. Children are the most precise emotional instruments on earth. They read the temperature of a room the way adults read words on a page. And your nervous system took notes. It concluded something very logical, given the evidence. Love is not free. Love is a response to performance. And if I want to keep it, I need to keep performing. This is where it gets important. That conclusion, I must earn love, didn't stay in childhood. It became a contract, an invisible one, and you've been carrying it into every relationship since. Here's what that contract looks like in real life. You give more than you receive, and you tell yourself that's just who you are. But secretly, you're keeping score, not to demand repayment, but to reassure yourself that you've deposited enough to stay welcome. You find it almost impossible to ask for help, because asking feels like exposing a deficit, and a deficit might cost you the relationship. When someone is upset, even if it has nothing to do with you, your first instinct is to fix it, because somewhere in you, their discomfort feels like a threat to your place in their life. You over-explain yourself. You justify your needs before expressing them. You say, "I'm sorry to bother you, but," before asking for something basic. And when someone loves you easily, when they're patient with you, when they don't keep score, when they stay, even when you're not at your best part of you, doesn't trust it because it doesn't fit the contract. Love that arrives without a bill feels like a trap or a mistake or something that will eventually be taken away. Do you recognize any of this? Here's the part that might be uncomfortable. The people who taught you this contract in most cases were not trying to hurt you. They were passing on their own contract, the one they inherited from their parents, who inherited it from theirs. Conditional love is almost never malicious. It's generational. It's cultural. It's the pattern of families that confused love with approval, connection with performance, belonging with usefulness. Your parents may have loved you deeply and still communicated that love conditionally. Both things can be true. And holding both of those truths, at once the love and the damage, is one of the hardest things a person can do. But here's what that means for you right now. The contract was never real. It felt real. It functioned as real. Your nervous system enforced it as real. But it was a child's logical conclusion in an environment that didn't know how to show unconditional love. It was never a universal law. You do not owe anyone a performance in exchange for basic human connection. You were never supposed to earn it. Let's talk about what happens when you carry this contract into adult relationships. The first thing it does is attract a certain kind of dynamic. When you're wired to earn love, you often gravitate toward people who consciously or not require you to. People who are emotionally unavailable. People who run hot and cold. People who make you work for their approval. Not because you're weak, but because that dynamic feels familiar. Familia feels like home, even when home was painful. The second thing it does is make you invisible in your own relationships. You become so focused on the other person's needs, their comfort, their reactions, that your own needs quietly disappear from the equation. And then one day, you realize you have no idea what you actually want, only what you're supposed to give. The third thing, and this is the one most people miss, is that it makes real intimacy almost impossible. Because real intimacy requires being known, actually known, not the curated, performing, earning version of you, the full version, the messy, uncertain, sometimes selfish, sometimes lost version. And if you've spent your whole life believing that version isn't lovable, you will never let anyone close enough to find out you're wrong. I want to be honest with you. There is no single moment where this contract dissolves. It's not a realization that fixes everything. You can understand all of this completely, intellectually, deeply, and still feel the pull of the old pattern the next time someone goes quiet on you. But understanding is still the beginning, because you cannot rewrite a rule you don't know exists. So the first step is simply noticing. When you feel the urge to apologize for no reason, notice it. When you feel anxiety because someone hasn't responded yet, notice it. When you receive kindness and your first reaction is suspicion, notice it. Not to judge yourself, just to recognize, oh, there's the contract. The second step is to practice slowly, imperfectly letting yourself be loved without earning it. This might mean staying in a conversation when your instinct is to over-explain and justify. It might mean asking for something small without a paragraph of apologizing first. It might mean letting someone see you on a day when you haven't performed anything. These feel terrifying. They're supposed to. You're asking your nervous system to update a file it's been protecting for 20 or 30 years. But every time you let someone love you without paying for it first, every time that love doesn't disappear, the contract loses a little of its power. You have been working so hard in your relationships, in your friendships, in your own head. And the saddest part is that the person you've been working hardest to convince that you're worthy, that you're enough, that you deserve to stay is yourself. You were taught that love is conditional. You were not born believing that. And anything that was learned can be unlearned. Not all at once, not without difficulty, but it can be done. One relationship at a time, one moment at a time, one small act of letting yourself exist without earning it at a time. You don't have to deserve this. You just have to be here. And that was always enough. If something in this video felt like it was written specifically for you, it probably was. Leave a comment below. Tell me which part hit hardest. I read every single one. And if you know someone who needs to hear this today, someone who gives and never lets themselves receive, send it to them quietly, without explanation. They'll know why.